Take a moment to feel the sense of pride and accomplishment, the positive emotions that arise when you celebrate this moment. And as you repeat this regularly, you're going to reinforce the positive behaviors. You're going to reinforce celebrating yourself, turning off your negative thoughts for a moment every morning to get out of the negative thoughts, celebrate, and give yourself a new energy. Welcome back to Entrepreneur Money Stories. Today, we're going to be talking about the high five habit and how we can use the high five habit to rewire and reframe our money mindset. I'm really excited for today's episode. I have been a longtime listener and follower of Mel Robbins' work, and she is the creator and founder of the high five habit. So let's start from the beginning. What does a high five mean to you? Think about that for a second. I don't really remember my first high five, but I do remember my most meaningful high five. You guys might have heard me talk before. I love Spartan races. I have been a runner since high school. And although I took some time away as an adult, I refound running, and Spartan races are so much fun. It's an obstacle course race. And this particular race was the longest race I'd ever done. I did an ultra, and it's 30 miles, 60 obstacles, absolute craziness. I remember I was so down and out. I actually didn't think I was going to finish the race. I was tired. I was bleeding. I was exhausted. I actually thought I shattered my knee from one of the obstacles. It was terrible. I had been contemplating in my head that I should give up, that I suck at running, that I never should have signed up for this race. I'm not good enough. Who did I think I was trying to do something like this? I should pack up my stuff and I should leave. And then I had another racer stop by and give me a high five. And it completely changed my vibe. My mindset changed, my energy changed. That's why on these race courses, there's always so many people cheering, giving high fives, because it changes the vibe. It changes the energy. It helps these people who are in despair find the finish line. Right. So I remember that moment. And when I heard Mel talk about the high five habit, and I remembered this moment that it actually changed the trajectory for me, I actually saw the finish line. I said, I have to figure out how we can use this with our clients and our listeners so that we can reframe our money mindset. And so I have been on a journey to figure out how we can help you reframe your money mindset. Now, we have an entire course, the Money Mindset Mastery course. So if this is something that you are really struggling with, you can definitely use these action steps. You can use these strategies, but I really encourage you, if you are in a cycle of emotional spending, or you're hanging on to every cent in your business and you can't reinvest and you can't pay yourself, I encourage you to go to moneymindsetmastery.co to find out more, because this course will help you heal your money mindset so that you can start making the strategic business decisions that you need in your business. All right, let's get back to who Mel Robbins is and this high five habit. You know me, I love action. And so I promise you, by the time we're done with this episode, you are going to have action steps that you can go implement right now, right? Like not even tomorrow, right now. So Mel is actually one of my favorite podcast hosts. I love her style because she talks about her failures, the things that have gone wrong in her life. She struggles with anxiety, and she just is so honest about how she's worked through those strategies. So Mel is a motivational speaker. She's an author, a life coach. She has several best-selling books, The 5-Second Rule. She has her own podcast now. She is just a breath of fresh air because she's so honest, right? There's no superhero complex when you listen to Mel and her approach. And she takes these really simple, like stupidly simple strategies, like a high five, and finds the science behind that to help us improve in our journey. Okay, so what is the high five habit? The core concept here, right? It's a habit around giving yourself a high five every morning, right? This isn't necessarily to celebrate something, to acknowledge an achievement. This is creating a habit around giving yourself a high five in the mirror. Now, I want to talk about how Mel found the high five and then the science behind it, and then how we can implement it specifically for a money mindset. Mindset is important no matter what area of your life. However, we here talk about how we can use these strategies to improve our financial decisions and how we can improve our money mindset. The high five habit was founded by Mel in not a really profound way, right? She was standing in the mirror one morning and she was running late. She had just rolled out of bed and she was standing in the mirror and started the negative self-talk. You piece of shit. You're never going to get to this meeting on time. Why are you so late? She's in the mirror, looking at all her wrinkles, talking badly about her body, noticing how one boob sags lower than the others. I mean, she is in the negative talk tornado, right? It's not even a windstorm here. We're talking negative self-talk tornado. She thought to herself to give herself a high five. High five. Let's go get this day. There wasn't a huge epiphany. It wasn't like, oh my God, everything was better from that moment on. It was a simple gesture and a simple dopamine release. And so the next day when she was getting out of bed, she was looking forward to seeing this person in the mirror to say, you got this, right? Give herself a high five to say, you got this today, right? Changes the energy and allows for the negative self-talk to just stop, right? She didn't tell herself, here's a list of all the positive affirmations that you need to say. This isn't a list of all the mantras that you don't even believe, but you're going to shout in the mirror, right? You guys have heard me on the podcast before. I do not believe in affirmations and mantras, especially ones that we don't actually believe. They're not going to do anything. And she understands this. But she also understood that if she could, for one moment, stop the negative self-talk and just say, we got this. Right? Let's go. Let's do this. Change the energy. And so after she had done this for several days, she realized that she was onto something, right? She was intrigued by the emotional impact of this small gesture. So Mel decided to explore the science behind this positive reinforcement. What she discovered in researching the science is that there's also a neurochemical basis to this, right? Every time you give yourself a high five, it triggers the release of dopamine in the brain, which is linked to feelings of pleasure and reward. Later, she even was told by other scientists that it's actually also the act of lifting up your arm. And this gesture of lifting up your arm to somebody actually creates additional energy. So it's not just, giving yourself a wimpy high five. It's the gesture of lifting up your arm and giving yourself a high five. I know this sounds corny, but it's these small things that work. Right? What's more corny? Taking a list of affirmations and mantras that we don't believe and saying them in the mirror, or giving yourself a high five to stop the negative self-talk and to celebrate for a moment before you start your day. So why does this work? Right? Why does the high five habit work? High fives have been, just like our negative self-talk has been learned through lived experiences, so has the high five, right? We didn't start our lives with negative self-talk. We were actually, like, when I think about my kids or my nephew who I just spent the weekend with last weekend, he doesn't have any negative self-talk, right? We didn't have negative thoughts when we were little. We're actually pretty darn confident. But over time, through lived experiences, we slowly start to learn that negative self-talk. Like, maybe I actually can't do this. My parents tell me to be careful when I'm doing this all the time. Maybe there's something to be scared of. Maybe I should be fearful. My teacher told me that I'm not good at math. My coach is always yelling at me and really aggressive, right? So I don't want to stop this without mentioning the marketing strategies, right? The marketing, especially to women, that we are not good enough until we lose the weight, until we become successful, until we're mothers, until we find the man, that we are not happy as we are because we need to buy the next thing, right? So I want to make sure that we capture that, because that's definitely part of this lived experience. Through lived experiences, we have created this negative self-talk, but we have also learned the high five, right? High fives are nice job, good work, let's go. I love when my son's basketball team, they give high fives for everything, right? Or like a little dap, especially when somebody misses a shot or they end up on the floor. they get creamed because it's the way of saying, shake it off. Get back in the game, right? We got this. Shake it off, get back in it. You've got this. It can also be, I love you, right? Like just high five. I love you. You have got this. So we've also learned the power of the high five through our lived experiences. Now, this messaging is stored in our subconscious. This messaging is stored in your subconscious. And so we need to marry this activity to new neural pathways. It is the unexpected that activates the messaging. We don't need to give ourselves a high five because we are worthy of celebration. If you're feeling resistance to this concept, it might be because you are not used to celebrating yourself, that you feel like you are not worthy of celebration. This is a learned experience, right? We have been taught through our experience, just like our money mindset. We have learned these behaviors by the small messaging. And you might be resistant to what I'm saying because you don't feel worthy. You don't feel big enough. You don't feel enough to be able to embrace this type of celebration, this type of self-love. When you give yourself a high five, you are saying to yourself, I see you and I hear you. You have to focus on yourself, right? You have to focus in the mirror at connecting the hand, and you are saying to yourself, I see you, I hear you. And for a moment, you stop the negative self-talk. You embrace a new energy. Today's show is brought to you by Kickstart Accounting, Inc. Are you ready to take control of your finances and pave the way to sustainable profit? Look no further than Kickstart Accounting, Inc., your trusted bookkeeping service since 2015. They've worked with thousands of other business owners, so they understand your unique needs. What really actually sets them apart, though, is that they're entrepreneurs themselves, dedicated to entrepreneurs like you. Kickstart Accounting Inc.'s strategic framework empowers you every step of the way. They will start with their safe and secure onboarding process, use their magic to set up QuickBooks, and provide you with their easy-to-read financial snapshot. Don't forget, you'll have a dedicated team to ensure that your financials are accurate and on time. Don't let bookkeeping overwhelm you. Trust the Kickstart Accounting Inc. team today. Visit kickstartaccountinginc.com to book your discovery call and get started. I'm going to tell you about how Mel Robbins suggests using it and then how I think that we can use this in our money mindset. So Mel has suggested to use this high five habit in our daily life. So she suggests putting it with a morning routine. So when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, you set a clear intention, the specific actions or achievements you want to acknowledge this day, right? And that's why it's really important to think about who is the person that I want to be? What is the behaviors that this type of person would have? Now, when I go to set my daily intention, what are the things that I need to do today to be that person, right? So I have to take a moment in the morning to set an intention to think about, how am I going to show up today so that I can align my actions to the person who I want to be in the future? So I'm going to set an intention as I'm brushing my teeth, right? You could choose a different trigger. I drink coffee every morning. So maybe for me, my morning coffee might be a better time. So as I'm waiting for it to brew and I'm going to pour my cup of coffee, that might be a good time as well. So you want to pick something where you have a trigger that's going to get you thinking, let me set my intention for the day. What are the actions that this type of person would perform? And then once we have the trigger, once we have the intention, you're going to give yourself the high five. You're going to physically raise your hand and give yourself a high five. You can do this by clapping your hands together above your head, but Mel suggests going right in the mirror, looking yourself in the eye, which can be difficult on its own, just looking at yourself and looking at yourself in the eye, and then raise your hand and give yourself the high five. Now, you can also pair this with a positive affirmation. So if affirmations and mantras are your thing, you might pair this with a few words of encouragement to reinforce the celebration and to anchor the positive feelings with this gesture. Maybe you just embrace the moment. Like take one moment. Like this whole process will take you less than 30 seconds, right? So I'm not asking you to put a new 30-minute morning routine. It's just embrace the moment. To take a moment to feel the sense of pride and accomplishment, the positive emotions that arise when you celebrate this moment. And as you repeat this regularly, you're going to reinforce the positive behaviors. You're going to reinforce celebrating yourself, turning off your negative thoughts for a moment every morning to get out of the negative thoughts, celebrate and give yourself a new energy. Now, how can we use this, right? You might be thinking, Danielle, what the hell does this have to do with money and money mindset? I promise you, I told you I'd give you some action steps on how we can use this strategy to improve our money mindset. Every time you catch yourself saying, I'm not a numbers person. I don't want to see my numbers, right? I'm scared. I'm confused. This doesn't make sense. I'm not good enough. My business isn't good enough. My business isn't big enough. I'm not enough. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants my products. Nobody's going to hire me. Nobody wants my services. I'm not hitting my goals. Why do I ever think that I can hit these goals? You're not good enough. Now, I know that sounds hard. Like as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so mean. But I know that I've had those thoughts. I've heard this from hundreds of our clients. I've heard this from other business owners in different mastermind groups. I hear that we struggle with our mindset. We are saying these things to ourselves. So the next time that you catch yourself saying, I'm not a numbers person, I want you to look yourself in the mirror and give yourself a high five. You are not going to just stop having these thoughts because I tell you to. Right? If I tell you, you can't tell yourself anymore that you're not a numbers person. It is your responsibility to know your numbers. It is your responsibility as a business owner, as a CEO, to embrace your numbers and to make business decisions with them. You might not believe it. You might think to yourself, well, I'm not a successful business owner. I'm a practitioner. I'm just trying to do this business thing, right? You're telling yourself a full story, and we need the story to stop. We need the negative thoughts to stop. We are practicing the shut off valve. As business owners, we do not celebrate. We beat ourselves up, and it is draining. As soon as you hit your goal, you either make an excuse not to celebrate or you spend a moment in celebration, and then you march on to the next goal. I know, I do it. I'm literally speaking to you from experience. And I'm in masterminds. I work with clients. I have seen it over and over and over again with business owners who hit a goal and march on to the next one. It's not enough. It's never enough. And so we can use this high five habit to pause the negative thoughts and to celebrate what we have achieved. When you catch yourself in these negative thoughts, I want you to go to the mirror, look yourself in the eye, and give yourself a high five. You can also use this with your financials. So I hear from clients all the time, I avoid my snapshot. I avoid my money team. I avoid looking at my numbers because it's scary, it's hard, it's difficult. I don't always like what I see. And so you could also start to pair this with looking at your financial statements. So if you are somebody who does not enjoy that process, then I encourage you, every time you get off a call with your money team, maybe you even do it on the call with them. Look at yourself in Zoom, right? Might be uncomfortable, look at yourself and give yourself a high five. I had a call with my money team. I looked at my numbers, whether it's good news or bad news. I jumped into the information and I tried to see it, right? Even if it didn't make complete sense, you made an effort to look at it. I have a client who we got off a call, or we were on a call a few weeks ago, and she said, Danielle, it still doesn't make complete sense, but I hear it. I see it. I hear you saying that we're doing okay. And thank you for that. It still doesn't make 100% complete sense, but I'm going to celebrate the fact that I'm on this call and that I'm embracing and learning the things that I do not know. And so every time you look at your financial snapshot, every time you look at your financial statements, I want you to look yourself in the eye and give yourself a high five. You're going to start to rewire the pathways. You're going to receive a dopamine hit from the high five. And so the next time you go to review your financial statements, the next time you go to look at the snapshot, you are going to remember that it wasn't all bad, right? That we took a moment to celebrate, that we're rewiring that report card effect, and we are celebrating ourselves as business owners. Whew. I know that's kind of hard. It's going to be a little awkward, but I know that you can do it. I'm really committed to helping you as business owners get out of the practitioner seat, embrace your role as a CEO. I want each and every one of you to become confident and empowered CEOs who use their numbers to make business decisions. This is going to empower you to have long-term, successful businesses that are also tax ready, right? We need to be making smart tax decisions throughout the entire year, and embracing our numbers, reviewing them, talking to our money team is how we're going to be tax ready. That's how we're going to lower our tax liability, is embracing our numbers, having the conversation, and celebrating along the way. So here's my high five to you, right? High five to you. I'm so proud of you for tuning into this episode, for listening in and being here. I know that this is hard work. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this episode with one other person. If you liked this episode or another episode we've done, ask you for one thing in return. Share this episode with one other person. I am going to continue to show up for you and give you this free resource. And if you could do that for me in return, it will help us hit our BHAG goal of helping 1 million women entrepreneurs work through their money mindset through the podcast, our courses, and our services. So if you could do your part in helping one other business owner, it would mean the world to me. All right, until next time, we'll see you next week.